Off and running, welcome in. Moose with the Box, presented by Gauntlet Light Installers. LSU beats North Dakota State 11-9. They move to 11-1 on the season, take game one of this two-game set, and boy, none of that actually tells the story of what just happened over the last, I don't know, call it, almost 4 hours at Alex Box Stadium? You know, LSU got the win. They did some good things down the stretch. And while you can be very happy with the win, this is not going to be the most cheerful post-game show. Just isn't. You know, sometimes, well, not sometimes this, we often talk about learning lessons in a win. And it's better to learn lessons in a win. Sometimes you take the opportunity in a win to really let your team have it. And I'm not saying that's what Jay Johnson's going to do tonight. In fact, I don't really think that's Jay Johnson's way. All I'm saying is, if there was ever a game to do it after, it was this one. Because for really the first half of that ball game, LSU could not have played worse. There were so many things that happened that are just unacceptable, and we will go through all of them. And there are things that happened that, yes, should be cause for a little bit greater of concern going forward because it extended a little bit of a trend that you saw over the weekend. Again, as I said, at times you love to learn lessons in a win. That's how you want to do it, and LSU ultimately gets to do that. But it did not look like they were going to be fortunate early in the game. The fact of the matter is, North Dakota State is what we said they were in the preview. They are a bad baseball team, and there is no way around that. Jay Johnson in his postgame, he'll credit the Bison and, they're going to win a lot of games in the Summit League. And guess what? They might. I don't give a damn. That's a bad baseball team. And the reason they blew a 7-1 lead is because they are a bad baseball team. And you let a bad baseball team dominate you early in that game and hang around for way longer than they should have been. The only reason that game was even competitive is because LSU played equally as bad as North Dakota State is. And that's just the truth. We'll go through the game, but that's just the truth. Like I said, at sometimes whenever you win a game but you don't play well or you don't play up to your standard, that's when it's time to kind of let loose. I'm reminded, there's this great post-game speech from Mike Leach on YouTube, RIP. Go find it. It's the year after Texas Tech's huge season with Graham Harrell and Michael Crabtree where they beat Texas, when Texas was number one. It's the year after that. And Mike Leach, it's a video of him in the locker room just absolutely undressing his team. And it was after a win against Baylor. And he is just undressing them. And I love that video because that speaks to a standard. And for half the game tonight, LSU did not play up to the standard at all. This game, when I look at it, it reminded me very much of the Southeastern game a year ago. Same spot, honestly. LSU had just gone to Houston. They had swept through that tournament, and everybody was telling them how damn good they were. They had high character wins in that game. They come back. They have to go on the road to Southeastern. Now, they played a hell of a lot better in that ball game than they did tonight. But they were in a dogfight. It was a big letdown spot. You go from playing at Minute Maid Park to Hammond America at Alumni Diamond or whatever it's called out there in front of 1,000 people maybe. And LSU has to win that game in the 9th inning, but they did it. Tonight, you go from playing in a big league park on Wednesday in front of 11,000 on Saturday, sweeping through a tournament, making statements. You come home and have to play a 1-9 baseball team in front of maybe 2,000 at the box on Mardi Gras Day. And you end up having to win this one in the bottom of the 8th after falling behind 7-1. So forgive me for not being all jazzed that they completed the comeback. Because you know what? They should have. That's not a good baseball team you're playing. It's just not. When you look at LSU as a whole, and as I said, we'll go through some immediate things, but It was rough for Connor Ware. It was rough for the pitching staff as a whole. Credit Zach Cowan. He was awesome. Credit Kason Evans. He was awesome. I thought Chandler Dorsey acquitted himself quite nicely in his debut. But when you total it all up for LSU, you gave up 9 runs, 8 of them earned. You walked 6, hit 4, so that's 10 free passes there. You also committed 3 errors. I lost count of how many balls went to the backstop between Aaron Beatty and Luis Hernandez tonight. And that's the only reason that this game was competitive, is because you gave a bad baseball team a free ride for half the game. That's the only way that they can compete with you. And you allowed them to do it for half the game. And all of that is unacceptable. LSU looked asleep early in this game. Now, the one thing that wasn't the problem was your offense. They were very good again. 11 runs, 10 hits. They kept the strikeout number relatively low. They drew 9 walks, like all of those things. They took advantage of they took advantage of what North Dakota State gave them, because again, that's what the Bison do. So if we're going to look at this game for a little bit, we'll just go ahead and start in the first inning, and I'll get to some questions. Ware gets the fly out to start the game. He gets a strikeout of Smith, but the ball goes to the backstop on a drop third strike, and that kind of just started the snowball for LSU. After that, you have the next hitter down 1-2, leaves the fat one over the plate. Kid triples to center field. That scores a run. Hamilton comes up, singles through the left side. That gives you another run. After a strikeout looking, so now you're at 2 outs with 2 runs in and a runner at first base. And you have Mann up at the plate, who came into this game hitting 043, by the way. 043. This sequence in the game drove me absolutely nuts. There's 2 outs, a runner on first, and an 043 hitter at the plate. And LSU insists on picking over to first base what felt like half a dozen times, because apparently Hamilton is the reincarnation of Ricky Henderson. 2 outs, runner on first, 043 guy. Pitch to the 043 guy. And you know what happens? Hamilton ends up stealing second base anyway on a delayed steal because Aaron Beatty fell asleep behind the plate. And then you hit the 043 hitter and put him on base. You walk the next guy. You walk the next guy after that. In between there was a dropped foul ball that fell in between Aaron Beatty and Jones. That was gross to see. Because, for one, that's Jared Jones's ball, and he gave up on it too. He needs to continue to charge in, call off Aaron Beatty at all costs, make that catch, and get your pitcher out of the inning. None of that happened. LSU played their worst inning of the season in the first. That is going to be the worst inning that this team plays all year. They might don't want to give up 3, later in the season in the first, but not to a 1-9 team. Like, not given the circumstances there, where you have free passes. Let's see, 3 of them. You committed the error on Ware throwing the ball up the line. Sorry, forgot to mention that. They tried to pick off Smith, and they threw it up the line. He got all the way to third. You had a couple balls go to the backstop, one of them a drop third strike. So you should have been out of the inning twice. Comedy of errors. Really bad. Really bad. Now, Connor Ware looked like he was getting back on track, 3 up, 3 down in the second. LSU, with 2 outs in the bottom of the second, because that's what this team does, they score with 2 outs. Like, that is absolutely just a trend there. They score with 2 outs. Stanfield singles up the middle. to score Brown. And ultimately, LSU's on the board. You follow that up, though, by giving up 4 in the third, followed by just more errors. LSU committed 2 more errors in that inning. The inning started with a free pass hit by pitch. All in all, you had 3 more free passes in there. And you used 3 pitchers. Newt came in. His issue, different than Ware. He just couldn't finish guys off. Newt got ahead plenty. He just couldn't finish off. Primo comes in. Ultimately gets you out of the inning. But again, 3 free passes. More errors. Two errors, I should say. And it's ultimately a 4 spot. Now, this is where you begin to credit LSU's offense. Because they don't quit. They keep going. Right? Walk, walk, walk. And Milam smokes the ball to second base. But it is just right at the second baseman. They turn the double play. You get 1, so it's 7-2. And it's like, man, did you just waste the opportunity? But then Brown reaches on an error, which scores a run. And then Cade Beatty, who had a rough night behind the plate, doesn't let it impact him in the batter's box and launches his first career home run. And again, 2 outs. The Brown hit, the error with Brown, 2 outs. Aaron Beatty's homer with 2 outs. You scored 3 runs right there with 2 outs. Massive. And a lot of credit to LSU's offense there. And you immediately get yourself back within 2. But the issues on the mound would persist, and you give 2 right back. That's something they have to be more consistent at, is going through it, and when you get back in the game or you give your team a lead, getting the 0. And early in this game, LSU they couldn't do it. Again, it was a free pass leading off the inning, hitting Hamilton yet again, that started things. You'd follow that up with a single and kind of, go throughout, and you would allow 2 more runs. That's when Chandler Dorsey would ultimately come in. He would, there'd be another passed ball, but he'd go strikeout, 1 more wild pitch, and a fly out. And ultimately he'd get you out of it, but you're back down 4 at that point. And again, LSU's offense, they don't quit. Danny Dickinson, who has been fantastic all season long, ends up hitting you a home run with 2 outs. But it was a great at-bat as well by Curiel to get on base. A couple really nice takes in that 4-pitch walk. And LSU's right back within 2. And from there, LSU's pitching staff finally settled in. Major hat tip to Chandler Dorsey. He goes out there in the 5th inning and gets LSU's first 1-2-3 inning since the 2nd. Major hat tip to that young man in his LSU debut. And it got LSU back into the dugout quickly. Now, they didn't convert there in the bottom half, but you put him, Dorsey, back out there, and he ends up getting you another out in the 6th, does walk, but that's when he's lifted, and Zach Cowan goes in there, and he's awesome. And Cowan was great. I was actually surprised they didn't just let him finish the game. But we got to see Case and Evans again, and that's really encouraging. So Cowan gets you out of that jam. Not the only one he would get you out of. And then LSU ultimately is able to finally tie the game. And it happens again, another great at-bat from Curiel, who works a count full and doubles to right center field. Hustle double. Fantastic. Jones singles, air quotes, singles to the shortstop. I thought that was going to be an error. And then Pearson reaches on the fielder's choice. That was a crazy play. That was a crazy play out in center field where he hit the sac fly, or it looked like it was going to be a sac fly. The kid drops it. Dickinson didn't go halfway. He was too close to first, turned back to first, tried to get to second, couldn't. but ultimately a run scores. And then Stephen Milam comes up, hits a bloop double into shallow right center field, kind of just into the no man's land, and ties the game up for LSU at 9. And then Zach Cowan continues to plug along in the 7th, strikes out the side. In the 8th, gives up the leadoff double, and this was massive. Gives up the leadoff double, gets the fly out, but it's a sac fly, so your runner advances to third. You play the infield in, and Smith drills a baseball. It looked like it was ticketed for right field, but Dickinson steps to his left, spears it, holds the runner, and then you get the fly out. That was massive. So you had a great defensive play, which was nice to see because you had some errors earlier in the game, but your defense, which is one of the strongest parts of this LSU, of this team so far for LSU is the defense. They came in fielding 983. So to watch them be able to bounce back, Stanfield had a great diving catch as well. And then I forgot his name already. I'm blanking. Danny Dickinson. Lord, guys, it's 10:30. It's been a long day for your boy. Dickinson spears it there. So great defensive play and some really quality bounce back pitches after hanging a changeup to give up that leadoff double. Big tip of the hat to big tip of the hat to Zach Cowan. I'm blanking. Sorry. In the bottom of the 8th, Curiel strikes out. Jones walks. Great at bat. He was down 0-2 and worked it back full. I mean, that was fantastic. Dickinson singles to left center, stares down the ump. John Pearson with the pinch hit at that point walks, and then Milam again doubles. Stephen Milam was big at the plate tonight, y'all. He was awesome. Tied the game and ultimately gave LSU the lead, both with a double. And that was LSU's first lead of the game. He was fantastic, and that's what you expect from a veteran leader. So here's the deal: LSU played really bad and allowed a bad team to hang around, but they won the game, and that's all that matters. And that is the conversation that we had plenty over the weekend. We had it after the Kansas State game. We had it not after the Nebraska game, but on the weekend when we went back and talked about the Nebraska game. Any team in any sport that makes a deep run and even hoists a trophy wins games that they should not have won. LSU has done that 3 out of the last 4 times. And that is the takeaway. But as we said at the start, sometimes that is the opportunity to point out to your team what's going wrong and what must be fixed immediately. Because LSU should have dominated that team tonight. And they didn't because they played poorly. But you're just better than them. So you won. And that's a credit to LSU. But we were going to take this opportunity to really hone in on some things that need to be fixed. And I'll get to who all is going to pitch tomorrow. I see y'all's questions. You know we'll take some questions at the end of this. I appreciate everybody watching and sticking around here late. Happy Mardi Gras to everybody. Smash the like button, please, if you don't mind. And go to Gotlit Light Installers, gotlitlights.com. Get your quote there. Not just the Christmas lights anymore that you've heard us talk about over the course of our platforms for so long, but now permanent landscape lighting to illuminate the front or the back of your house. Maybe you just put in a pool. Gotlit Lights, they can help you out there with some landscape lighting. Really take your landscape, your backyard to the next level, your curb appeal to the next level. And if you're hosting a private event, Gotlit Lights, they can do like a wedding, anniversary party, any of those things. You need some temporary outdoor lighting? Gotlit Lights can do that. That's similar to the Christmas lights. Custom fit, custom cut to design. No loose lights ever with Gotlit. Gotlit Light Installers. And they're doing some other decorations, wreaths, things of that nature. Gotlit Light Installers, gotlitlights.com. Tell them you heard it right here on Moose with the Box. Okay. I will tell you this. The free passes are becoming a concern for me. They are becoming a concern. I see David talking about Larson. I have thoughts on Ashton Larson because this is a big Ashton Larson show, and I will get to him. The free passes are starting to concern me because LSU issued 22 of them a week ago and 10 more tonight. 6 of them walks. And I don't think this is just one of those situations where you can look at it and go, well, it's the midweek. They aren't throwing their top end arms. Because Connor Ware is one of your top end arms. And Connor Ware issued 5 free passes. You've seen plenty from Jaden Newt and DJ Primo on the weekends. And those are guys who Jay Johnson has openly talked about wanting their role to expand even more. And they're issuing free passes. And you're just not going to be able to expand that role with issuing free passes. Kason Evans hit a batter tonight. Now, he came back dominant because he's really freaking good, and he is that dude. But looked at it after the weekend and said, okay, I'm not there yet. I'm still not full-blown, like, 5-alarm, oh, God, but I am getting concerned. And LSU they need to refocus in and find that strike zone like they had for the better part of the first 3 weeks of this season. That sample size still outweighs what you've seen the last 4 games from this team when it comes to throwing strikes. But I don't think you can just hand wave that away right now. I really don't. So that's going to be something that I have under the microscope the rest of this week. They have to get better at pounding the or I don't want to say get better, get back to where they were pounding the strike zone because it's in there for this team. And the stuff on the staff is plenty good enough to do that. Now, I'm not going to freak out too much about the errors going forward for this defense. I think they're really, really good. And as we kind of touched on earlier, they erased that later in the game. Larson. I said I wanted to come back from Larson. I believe it was David who asked about or was talking about Larson. Let's see. Larson is hitting on the year now 263. Larson was smoking the ball when the season started. Like, he was awesome. He looked like he was about to be your everyday DH. When I look at him at the plate right now, I think he's trying to do too much. We talk often about this team getting outside of the plan at the plate. That's just what it looks like with Larson. I hesitate to use the word pressing, but he might be pressing. He's expanding the zone way more than he normally does. And we have a large sample size of Ashton Larson. He's a much better player than what he's showing. They'll continue to get him at bats. And Jay will continue to work on him, or work with him, I should say. And I expect Ashton Larson to impact this team going forward. But right now, it's, right now there's a reason why he's just coming off the bench in the pinch hit. Potentially maybe there's a spot this weekend to get him a start and just getting some extended at bats. But he's definitely not himself at the plate right now. And the strikeouts and the expanding of the zone on the strikeouts is what's really eye-opening from Ashton Larson. Okay, we'll put a button on LSU North Dakota State game 1. LSU wins it 11-9. They did not play their best, and I wanted to make a point to go through and tell you that they did not play their best tonight. But yes, you applaud them for the win. It's a frustrating win, right? It's an unimpressive, I don't want to say unimpressive. It's not that it's it is impressive. I don't want to say unimpressive. It's a frustrating win. But it's a win. And winning baseball games is hard to do. That being said, when you turn the page to tomorrow, we could start with a starting pitcher. William Schmidt, obviously an option there. Don't know how deep he would go to get you into the game. Potentially, he threw, was it around 20 pitches, I think. hold on, I'm going to look it up. I believe it was about 20 pitches on Saturday. I'm sorry, 50, yeah, 15 through 15. So he can absolutely come back and start for you on Wednesday. I think that's probably the direction they go. If not him, I don't really know. I'm thinking it's going to be him. Brad, hold tight on Jacob Myers. We'll get to that. When you look at tomorrow, or Wednesday, I should say, for our podcast listeners, I think Schmidt gets the start, and then you have plenty of guys left. Plenty of guys left. Anyone you saw tonight, off the board. But I think the hope is Gavin Guidry shows up at some point, whether it's Wednesday or on the weekend. They were hopeful to get him back this week. I don't know if you throw him out there to start, but I guess that would be the only other option I would think of besides a William Schmidt. But again, I think it'll be Schmidt. So if Guidry's healthy and ready to go, you could see him Wednesday night. But I think the more likely guys are people like Maverick Rizzi. We talked about this on the preview. Grant Fontenot has not pitched since game one of the doubleheader against Omaha. It's time to get him back out there on the mound, see if he can't bounce back. And then also Jacob Myers, who we just said. Jacob Myers hasn't pitched since Monday against who'd they play Monday? Nichols. So that's a guy you can absolutely throw back out there. Dalton Beck was warming up in the bullpen. You saw Chandler Dorsey finally make his debut. Dalton Beck, a candidate there. And I'm actually, somebody asked me in a YouTube comment earlier if I was surprised to not see Jake Brown, Dylan Thompson, or Dalton Beck on the mound. And I said, Brown, no. Thompson, no. Beck, a little. Because I really thought, if you were listening preseason news, I really thought he could be, I really thought he could be a good midweek innings eater for you. It's some pretty good stuff. High 80s, low 90s fastball from the right side, a good break, from the left side, a good breaking ball. So that's a guy you could obviously see. We mentioned Maverick Rizzi, Myers, Fontenot, probably Schmidt. Hopefully if Guidry's healthy and back, you could throw him in that mix as well. And then, look, anybody who pitched Sunday, they're available here as well. So you have plenty of arms for this tomorrow. The depth is really being shown for LSU's pitching staff. I saw a couple people ask about Eddie Yaman. Eddie Yaman is most likely going to redshirt this year. He's a prime redshirt candidate for LSU. Cloudzak, Cooper Williams. Okay, was he? I didn't notice who was keeping the chart. Okay, Cooper Williams, also available, and someone who needs to get back out on the mound as well. So that's another arm. They have a lot of guys. A lot of guys there. So, we'll see. Let's see. John Jones, do you think we'll see more Reeves? Yeah, I think that's possible. You're right. He did smack 2 balls today. He got robbed of a double off the wall. It was a great catch by the right fielder. This is the thing I'll say with Reeves, though. I like the bat, but I like Braswell's defense at third base so much better than Tanner Reeves. I just do. It's a stronger arm. It's a more accurate arm. You just have to pick what you want there. And Michael Braswell will hit the ball. Braswell stung a ball tonight. Yes, I think you can see that. I think you can see, go Tigers. I want to address that so bad. I'm going to in a minute. I don't even remember what I was going to say. I'm going to address that right now anyway. Yeah, you'll see more Tanner Reeves. Sure. Go Tigers says Gavin Guidry is not going to make or break this team. I don't know what all the fuss is about. Okay. The evidence does support that. He hasn't pitched yet this year, and they're 11-1. And I'm not saying that this is what you're saying, but that comment jogged my memory on things. And I have seen this way, way too much. And I don't know where this narrative came from, that Gavin Guidry has been a bad pitcher in his career. That is patently false. Gavin Guidry has 45 appearances in his career and has a career 3.2 ERA. You do not win the national championship in 2023 without Gavin Guidry. You remember the Wake Forest game, the elimination game against Wake Forest, where you were 2-1 and they were 2-0? You had to win that. Gavin Guidry came in a massive spot after Griffin Herring gave you the length with runners on, got you out of that jam, struck out Wilkin and Kurtz, I believe, in that inning, and helped put you in that championship. When the game was in a tipping balance against Kentucky in game 2 of that Super Regional before LSU pulled away, Gavin Guidry was huge. David saying he got smoked last season, inaccurate. Go look at his statistics. His 2024 was better than his 2023. This narrative that Gavin Guidry has somehow had a bad career at LSU is wrong. It is wrong. In every sense of the word, wrong. Gavin Guidry has been awesome, and he's done that basically with one freaking pitch for 2 years. For 2 years. I don't know where this thought came from that he's bad. It just blows my mind. Blows my mind. Gavin Guidry is going to be a huge piece of this team when he comes back. He was set to pitch that midweek game against Nichols. It did not happen. He wakes up with the injury, according to Jay Johnson. Jay Johnson has no reason to lie about any of that. None. We'll see Gavin Guidry when we see him. So, I just don't, I don't know where that came from. And I hear about it on one pitch. But again, look what he's done with one pitch. And by all accounts, changeup has been mixed in a little bit more, and the fastball is up more consistently, 93, 94. That is going to change the game for him. Change the game for him. I know, go Tigers. I know. I said, I know you, I didn't want to put words in your mouth and said, I don't think you're saying he's bad. Your comment just jogged the thought in my mind, because I have had a lot of people ask, why is everybody so up in arms against injury? He was bad last year. He's been bad. It's just wrong. So I tried my best to clarify that before going on the rant. So I'm kind of done with the Guidry conversation now. When he pitches, he'll pitch. So and he'll going to be he'll be very good. And he'll be a huge part of this team, as he has been the last 2 years. What else do y'all want to know about game number 2? Because I'm ready to go to bed. Any more questions, gang? Y'all smash the like button if you have not already. Ooh, Cloud Sack. I hope they go purple jerseys with pinstripe pants tomorrow. So freaking good. Lou, run rule game 2? Probably. You pretty much probably broke that team's will tonight by knocking them off that way. So, yeah, I would think so. Tyler Brooks, how about John Pearson getting the chat? Getting the shot at third base. I would love it. Jay kind of addressed this a couple games ago, and or actually it was Thursday before. It was Thursday before. I'm tired. I need to go to bed. Thursday before, wherever the hell they played, the Frisco. So they want to get him a little lighter in the feet. They want him to drop a little weight. But, I mean, what I saw from him in the scrimmages, I thought he played a really good third base. He moved well, I thought. I mean, could he get a little lighter, a little quicker? Sure. But, yeah, I'd love to see that. That'd be great. All right. So for tomorrow, for game 3, strikes. Because if you do that, this team cannot, they cannot beat you. They cannot compete with you. So strikes. Catch the ball when it's hit to you. Throw the ball to the mitt. And continue to take what they give you on offense, because they're going to do that a lot. Remember, this is a team that has walked almost equal the batters that they have struck out over the season. I look for a much more dominant effort for LSU on Wednesday night. We'll be back here recapping all of it. You know that's what we do. So get subscribed if you have not already. Should Hernandez be the starting catcher? Absolutely. Subscribe. Follow me on social media. All that's greatly appreciated. YouTube channel and your favorite podcast app. Subscribe. And be here next time for more on Musso at the Bottom.